Okay, good evening, everyone. We'll call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll open up the meeting to public comment. Just a quick note that the front end public comment is for agenda items only. And then we have a back end public comment to be for general items. So is there anyone that has any public comments? Okay, we'll close public comment section. Just before we go into our special presentation, I just want to publicly thank the community for their support of our Proposition 1 and 2 that took place last Tuesday. Overwhelmingly, we passed both our Proposition 1, which was a tax-neutral proposition encompassing about $16.9 million of infrastructure upgrades, and we passed our Proposition 2, almost, I think, 62%, I believe it was, and that involved our new athletic field complex. I'm sure you'll be very happy once that's completed, hopefully within 2 years. Thank you for that. At this point, we'll have our special presentation. I believe it's the leaders of the pack. We're starting that again.
Where do you want us to stand?
Yeah, this will be good over here. Back to what it's all about, right?
So this is Alexandra Malgeri. She was chosen as our leader of the pack for October because she is always kind and respectful to her teachers, staff, and peers. So that means your friends, right? She is always responsible in getting her work done. She serves as a good role model, and she's helpful to her peers in class. So once again, great to her friends. Mrs. Hashba and Mrs. Campaign, her teachers, are very proud of her and of all her successes, and so are we. So we'd like to present this award to Alexandra. Thank you, sir. Okay, this is for you.
Mom, you good?
He's gonna get the bridge behind you.
Smile. Smile. Great.
Aww.
Thank you so much. All right. Okay, so for the Highland Middle School, our leader of the pack for this month is 8th grader Afreen Akhtar. Her teachers had a lot of great things to say about her. I'll just read a few. Afreen, this is from Mrs. Vollmer. Afreen is the kind of student who leads quietly by example. She's always respectful to her teachers and peers alike. She immediately gets to work on any task given to her, but also stops to help out a neighboring classmate who's having difficulty with one thing or another. Mrs. Leahy said, Afreen demonstrates a notable resolve to be present. Her clear focus is engaging with lessons and achieving understanding. Afreen's also kind, patient, and polite with her classmates, and again, willing to assist those nearby her when they need a helping hand. And lastly, Mr. Foreman said, her grades are near perfect. She's always willing to help her fellow classmates, again, a common theme with Afreen. And if only I had more students like Afreen in my class. So congratulations.
Tropical shirts with the wall background and the bridge. I don't think they have those leaves changing in Hawaii.
you.
So for Highland High School, we have Sathvik Ogundi as our leader of the PAC Student of the Month. I have a couple blurbs from some of his teachers. So Miss Otis says, Vic has studied Spanish with me for 3 years. He's always smiling, has a great attitude, his positivity is contagious, and he enjoys learning. He is a pleasure to teach. Miss Meyer, Sathvik is bright, inquisitive, and intellectually mature. Discussions in class are always richer for his presence and his contributions. I'm excited to see what he does next year and beyond. Mr. Gullo, his positive attitude is what sticks out vividly when you have a conversation with him. Having Vic in my classroom has been an absolute pleasure. Mr. Casalino, I've only known Vic since September, but he's already impressed me with his work ethic, perseverance, positivity, and honesty. I couldn't ask for a better person to have in my classroom for 2 to 3 periods per day. Lastly, Mr. Tatum, Vic is taking my public speaking class. Prior to the first public speech, one of Vic's classmates drew number 1 and was immediately overcome with anxiety. Vic drew the last spot and he immediately offered to switch with her. I thought that spoke volumes to his empathy and character.
You can walk up to the hold up.
On behalf of the board, congratulations to our leaders of the PAC. Job well done, guys. Thank you.
Mr. President, we have one more special award that we would like to give out this evening.
Good evening. It's important that we celebrate accomplishments not only of our students, but also of our faculty and staff. I'd like to highlight a special Husky point of pride for our district, high school chemistry teacher, Chris Grow. Come on, Chris. Chris Grow was named as the recipient of the Mid-Hudson chapter of the American Chemical Society's Excellence in High School Chemistry Teaching Award for 2022. Soon after receiving that recognition, Mr. Scrow was then nominated for the Regional Award, which is intended to recognize, encourage, and stimulate outstanding teachers of high school chemistry in the Northeastern United States. To quote an email I received from the awards committee chair, after reviewing his nomination materials, Christopher is far and away our top choice for this prestigious award. So I am thrilled to inform you that Christopher Scrow has received the 2022 American Chemical Society Excellence in High School Teaching Award winner for the Northeast region. This award was presented to Mr. Scrow on October 3rd at the American Chemical Society's Northeast Regional meeting in Rochester, New York. Mr. Scrow, it's with great pleasure that we celebrate your accomplishments. On behalf of the Board of Education, District Administration, your colleagues, and most importantly, your students, please accept this plaque to commemorate your accomplishments. I'd like to read it. It says, Highland Central School District, Christopher M. Scrow, Excellence in Education Award in recognition of your accomplishments as a chemistry teacher for your contributions to the overall science education of our students.
Okay.
So the students probably have homework or would like to, especially our younger one, would like to get to bed soon. So you are more than welcome to stay for the entire meeting if you'd like, but we understand that the night is, you might want to head out. So we'll take that opportunity to
Thanks for coming.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Shake the hand of the chemistry teacher and tell him to stay until you get there.
Right there.
Very nice.
And that's what
Okay, moving on, our consent agenda from EA through E. Okay, from A through E.
Motion.
Does anybody have, yes, we have a motion from Mike, second from Ed. Anybody wants to pull out any specific item from the consent agenda, we can do that. Okay, so we have a motion from Mike, second by Ed. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Now we're principals and monthly reports. We'll start with the high school.
No one expected it. So good evening, everyone. Just a couple of quick updates to the high school report. Tonight, right now, is the financial aid night for high school students. It's taking place in the Library Media Center with a feature presentation by SUNY Ulster. So that's going on right now. And then later this week, Thursday, we will have the parent-teacher conferences taking place on the 27th from 5 to 8. There's a couple of other quick updates that Mr. Bakatsias will give to us when he gives the high school report from his chair. Any questions at all? Thank you.
Thank you.
You're still in the middle.
Sorry. I know you guys have all been waiting very carefully for the PTA fundraiser flyer, so I wanted to bring that. I think it was Mr. Bakatsias asked last time about where you can just send money to the PTA, and this is how you can just send money to the
I drove
PTA.
past and I saw the sign, I felt guilty because I promised.
Yeah, so there you go. That's how you can do that. I just wanted to take a second. We have a new club starting up. It's a Mathletes Club for the middle school, which we're super excited about. Mrs. Valentino is going to start this club. So it's just another way for us to get students together after school to talk about math, have fun with math, use math in the real world, compete against each other, and depending how it goes, we may enter in a few competitions in the winter and the spring, depending on how many students join. But we're super excited about this new club and opportunity for our students that will be meeting every Wednesday after school. And as you can see, Mr. Carnwright are in our lovely attire for the day. Just in case you're curious about what else we'll be doing this week, here is another flyer, because I love handouts, for everyone, so you guys can kind of see the rest of the week. We are in our spookiest spirit wear, spooktacular spirit week, leading into Halloween. And I know Mr. Bakatsias on this end is also going to talk a little bit about that later today as well. Any questions? All right, cool. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Nick.
Thanks.
Hey, you're up.
Sir, thank you so much for not putting me first. I appreciate that. I was like, I was sweating and I was like, oh my God, I gotta go first, and I've never done this before. Whew. All right, so here we go. I guess the only other thing that was not on this pamphlet that I sent you guys, today we had a curriculum meeting night after school. We broke into two separate groups, a primary, like the K3 level, and a 4-5, and we kind of delved into the curriculum a little bit more. It was really awesome. We did a carousel activity, which is like rotating around the room, and we kind of got to some things that we normally wouldn't if it was a bigger group, so that was kind of a fun thing. And the feedback from the staff was they enjoyed it. So it was, like I said, small groups, and broke them up into people that they usually don't conversate with. And then like I said, we talked about foundations and into math. So our new math curriculum. So we kind of got into that a little bit. And then the only other thing is just got to reiterate thank you to the Highland Fire Department for showing up with all the trucks and everything, and being a volunteer service. It was kind of awesome that we turned out the way that we did. So and socks for the day.
There we go.
Yeah,
I've heard some about the socks. I've heard more about the suits.
Oh yeah.
I must say, the orange was a hit.
Yeah, I was an orange traffic cone. There is not an orange bright enough to show that suit. Maybe next.
Literally, it was a traffic cone.
Yeah.
I was supposed to turn on my cameras, and I couldn't tell if it was a traffic cone.
Blinding, yes. The kindergarten color day. They've been calling me out, so I got to step up my game a little bit. So that orange they were okay with that.
Any questions for Ian?
Oh, I'm sorry. Questions. Sorry.
I guess just to acknowledge, I've heard many things that you've been in a lot of classrooms and out and visible, and I think that's great just to get started and get to know people. So
Next time
thank
we'll
you.
let you go first.
Oh, no. Bright suit, Scott.
Okay. Director's report. We have a few directors here this evening. I think we have. Oh, they're all here. Anybody have any questions for the directors? Now you can start your way.
There you go, Mr. Miller. That was blast.
I had a couple for, I think there's a few of them, but under facilities, I was just curious, when in your report under facilities, you talk about lockdown systems, notification system. Is that software or something new to the district, or part of a present system already?
It's in addition to what we were going to do originally, so that there's a notification that goes out so people that aren't in the building or are in the building or in other buildings, their administrators will know that there's a lockdown instantly when it happens.
Okay.
The other thing we're looking at is we had a lockdown system that worked off a phone that is now obsolete, and it's going to be upgraded and replaced also.
Okay.
So you didn't have to be near a button or whatever to institute a lockdown. You can lock it down from your phone.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the other thing was, we've got quite a few custodial worker positions open, and I think that, what's the challenge in filling those people? Is there people applying? Is there not people applying? Is it pay scale? Is it just the market where it's at?
It's probably more than anything pay scale. We start people as subs basically. If they don't have any experience, they're starting at step one. We don't have people applying. We had a young lady apply last week and she was breathing. We hired her.
Is there if there's a need for a custodial substitute and step one isn't doing it or whatever that hourly rate is, what are our options administratively there?
Well, I think it's based on the experience that they come with. I mean, you have to make sure that you're paying for the experience, but you're also not bringing people in above others that have more experience. So it's always a tricky.
But you're not getting applicants.
Well, that's another thing. And the civil service lists are depleted at this point.
Right.
So.
But if you're not getting applicants because the pay scale's too low, I think an organization then says we have to increase the pay scale to at least get applicants. Whether they're qualified or not is one thing.
But it could trickle all the way up again with the significant increase. I'm not saying opposed to it, but I'm just saying we have to be aware that could ripple all the way up, as you pointed out.
Well, yes.
If we have a person walk in the door that has experience, if a person comes from Walkill, just saying, a person comes from Walkill who has experience, is looking for a job, and we hire that person because they have experience, we would hire them on a different step. When we have a person that walks in as a sub that has no experience,
Well, yes, I hear that.
Are we using a service of any kind for?
And
hiring?
the ads go out and they're pretty vague, so that we're trying to have the net reach as many people as possible. So we're not putting limits on it so that we can attract folks in.
Okay.
And, but so things have been,
I hear you.
posted internally, they've been posted in newspapers, they've been posted online. It's just,
There's a service we started using, and I'll have to check on the specifics, if it costs or how they, but it's been actually, we were having the same issue, and then all of a sudden we just had this flood of people calling.
We have a number of people that are working a few hours here, a few hours there, that are working other departments or.
Right, there's that unit would potentially pick up that work, and that's.
yeah, and they can do
Okay.
that.
We're contributing a portion of overtime to it, to cover the jobs too, because when somebody's out, and we have two people in the middle school and one's out, somebody's
Things have to
out.
be covered, sure. Okay, all right, I'm just trying to think of ways to help, I understand. We certainly don't want to solve the problem and create another one and all that, but
No,
I
and
just
that's-
wanted to talk through it a little bit.
That's a little difficult, because you're working with the
Yes,
charities and
yes.
where you go.
That coverage doesn't post into question for an audit of any kind, right?
No.
And I think that same issue is happening in transportation, it's happening in teaching assistants and substitutes and for classroom teachers and, yeah.
I would say, I'm gonna say it out loud, is that our people are doing a phenomenal job. Short-staffed, they're doing a good job, they're working hard, we have some really good people, that are still pulling it through, but eventually.
Yeah, I mean, we get into holidays, and after a couple months of that, people start taking time and whatnot,
But it's
anyway.
been a constant on his report.
Yes,
you know,
it
going
has,
back
that's why
for
I'm
a
like.
couple of years. and
As with the bus
it's
garage
been
as
there.
well, there's a significant shortage of drivers in the bus garage as well.
And we know that just the labor market in general, there's still help wanteds everywhere, so.
Not unlike yourself, I know our bus director, I've seen her pull up my driveway with the bus. Taking
And the
the
dispatcher as well.
yeah.
The dispatcher's been driving as well.
I've got a question, for technology.
Okay.
All right, so we're moving forward with clear touch panels. Was there any kind of panels evaluated, or you have prior experience with those?
So the Clear Touch was evaluated along with a few others. We have smart boards for medians in this district already, so we had some experience with some other boards. Starting last year, the Clear Touch was the direction we started going, and there's some reasons beyond just what works in an individual classroom or in in a conference room or something like that, but it's going to work into the broader school announcement system and things like that we can do with Clear Touch that some of the other brands
Integrate them a little bit, yeah. Okay. Is that gonna be, are we installing them ourselves, or is this like, some type of mini RFP or state contract we're doing?
So, with Pete Miller's department, we're getting them installed here in-house.
Very good.
Okay, if anyone else have any questions for our directors?
Thank you to the Transportation Department. Again, concerns there with the number of people out, and, it's an all hands on deck situation, so thank you, and the rest of your team who gets that done each and every day.
Thank you. They're all working, from Pete's department supporting us to my dispatcher to everybody's chipping in.
Anybody watching at home, if you want a nice job in a nice community.
Just one question for John. Is John here? John, hey, what did you want me to glean from all these WebSmart claim reimbursement reports?
That's just totals for.
Just data?
Yeah, it's just data, basically, the money coming in.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? We thank all our directors for being here this evening, thank you. And we'll go to our student rep, Taki.
Good evening, everyone. Starting with the elementary school, physical education teachers Coach S, Coach H, and Coach Canosa started their Project Adventure unit, where classes were trying to accomplish a group task. Working cooperatively within small groups and large group dynamics, students tried to achieve success by working together and problem solving. They used a large parachute and discovered about how manipulating or changing their arm speed could affect physical science aspects of force and momentum as it relates to the objects being projected. Moving on to the middle school. The PBIS Ghost Games will be held this coming Monday on Halloween, which will include some fun games and activities for students who are selected based on earning tickets for positive behavior in school. Leading up to the Ghost Games on Halloween, this week the middle school is having a spooktacular Spirit Week as part of Red Ribbon Week. Yesterday was Wear Red Day to support keeping kids drug-free. Today was Tropical Tuesday. Tomorrow is Wish You Stayed Home Wednesday, which includes everyone wearing their comfiest clothes to school. Tomorrow is Throwback Thursday, where staff and students dress to impress from their favorite decade. Friday is Fantastic Friday, where everyone gets to wear their favorite sports jersey. Fall modified sports are wrapping up after a great season, and students are excited to start winter sports. Lastly, moving on to the high school, the phys ed department brought back their fall foliage Minnewaska hike and will be taking a field trip this Friday, October 28th, where students will be able to enjoy a hiking activity at the park. Tomorrow, on October 26th, Miss Meyer's class will be holding their narrative reading at 5:30 across the street at Loclos, where students from the class of 2023 will read aloud their personal narratives and college essays. Lastly, Peer Leadership will host a new student event on Thursday, October 27th at 2:10, also at Loclos. As the representatives of kindness, compassion, leadership, and service within the student body, Peer Leadership believes that welcoming students who are new to Highland Central School District is essential for helping them adjust and eventually thrive in an environment which we hope they will come to call home. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now we're moving on to our Assistant Sup of Human Resources and Pupil Personnel.
So at the last board meeting, I mentioned a conference call with the state that they had reached out to us about sustainability for some of the ARP ESSER grants that we received, and they were going to talk to us about ways that we could sustain some of the programs and staffing that we've implemented with the money. So we're excited by the idea that, this is even on their radar, because this has always been a worry. As soon as you start to put salaries into grants, and it's a grant that's not going to be an annual thing, you got to start to look at how you navigate it when that grant runs up. So Mr. Freer, Ms. Idell, and myself were on the phone call, and I'll say, unfortunately, it wasn't as hopeful as we had anticipated. So, some of the ideas that were thrown out there were exceeding 2% tax cap on budgets, finding other grant avenues, and then looking for creative ways. So, we asked, is there funding coming or any anticipation of extra funding coming? And at this time, there is not. So what they are doing is, this is a team that was tasked through the state, through the federal government, that is looking at meeting with districts to see what districts are doing, but as of now, there was no real solve. So they are going to meet with more districts to see what they glean from them, and we have another follow-up call in January. But I will say that for our financial planning, I would not count on anything coming forward. And I hope that that changes. And we're still, some of these grants, we're still just shy of 2 years out from some of them ending. So there is time for that to change. But I wouldn't count on any of that, unfortunately.
Let's prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
Yeah. So we did recently submit our ESSA-funded program grants. Those are annual grants. Those are title grants. They just changed the name of them. A lot of those support some of our AIS staff. Title II supports some of the professional development that we do. And then our Title IV is attributed to some other safety and technology and well-rounded student opportunity stuff that we have in the district. We also submitted, we did as part of the American Rescue Plan, there was an IDEA portion of it. So some of that money is flow-through monies that go out to private schools that house some of our preschool and school-age children. But some of that is also being utilized to offset some special education teacher salary as well. The Ulster County Department of Mental Health, a while ago, they talked about $1 million grant that was allotted to the county, that they were looking at implementing supports in middle schools across the county. So in the past couple of months, they've been in the planning stages. They had a meeting that Ms. Coburn and some of our mental health staff from the middle school attended a few weeks ago. And at that point, they are hopeful to roll out, but they also didn't have the staff. So I think, just as everywhere else, they were having some difficulty getting the staff to help implement the program. So the Ulster County Department of Health partnered with the LaSalle School, and they're working on what it looks like. Their team is coming for a visit on Tuesday morning to the middle school, so we're going to meet with them to hopefully get some more information on the realistic implementation of what these supports look like, because we're still not 100% sure on what it's going to be, and hopefully they had some luck with some of their hiring, but we'll get some updates on Tuesday. And then just as when you go through some of our schools, one of the areas when we looked at the grant funding, when we go back when we were planning some of it, one of the areas was looking at the sensory needs of our students. So if you do walk through the halls of the elementary school, you will see our sensory pathway through some of them. It includes wall push-ups, hops, jumps, different things. And at our middle school, Ms. Coburn has been working with her mental health staff as well to create a sensory room at our middle school. This has been on our list over the past couple of years, so we're happy to start that. It's still a work in progress, and some of the stuff that we've ordered is slowly coming in.
Is this like fidget spinners and those types of things?
Well, really guided by Mrs. Barone. She did a lot of the work because I don't necessarily know what a sensory room needs to be. Luckily, we got the funding, which we had been waiting for, and she was willing to, when kids come in, really be in charge of the space, which is what we also needed, someone that knew what to do when a student needed that. But there is sensory input, so there are some weighted blankets, there are some Peter Miller approved lighting. I will say that.
Planted him right behind you.
Along with some this really cool literally you can swipe it back and forth kind of thing. So there's stuff built into the not built in, but things you can take off and put on your laps. We have different stools and different rockers for students who may need that for sensory.
And this is a room dedicated to that?
Yes.
Because in some of the conversations I've heard, space is kind of tight in these buildings. So is it a full classroom?
No,
It's a small room.
we rearranged over the summer. We rearranged 4 or 5 different rooms. We moved a lot of things around. And we're able to make a space where she could still do one-on-one confidential counseling space, but inside that, but outside of that is a larger space that a teacher or an aide or Mr. Kreiner or myself or someone could bring a student who is in need of the sensory output or input, and if she was unavailable because of counseling. So it's been working out very well.
It's been highly utilized too.
I'm sure it has its applications for mental health as well. It's not
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wellness.
Yeah. And it's student directed too, so we're starting to learn what they need and what's helpful for them. So we're learning with this as well, and some of the needs may change, and we may identify that's change some of this. But just having a space dedicated to like I said, it's been on our radar as a need at the middle school. So we're happy that we're able to get started with it.
The kids walk by and they're like, "Ooh!" You can just see their eyes light up.
Middle school.
Yeah, I mean anything that's flashy in middle school.
They all wanna
Like that, and adults too. But yeah, it's great. Thankful for Mrs. Brown because she took the helm and went with it.
Okay.
Good evening. So I met with School Resource Officer Brian Scott earlier, actually last week, to discuss some of the curricular topics that he might cover with our student body. We came up with the following list. For the high school, dangers of vaping, driver safety, vehicle and traffic laws, consequences of driving under the influence of drugs and or alcohol, comparing school law versus New York state law, and various careers in law enforcement.
At the middle school, he might cover some topics such as the dangers of vaping, internet safety, cyberbullying, and also discuss current events and current trends in society. At the elementary school, he hopes to, with the kindergartners and first graders, he could do read-alouds with them and discuss getting to know a police officer and what the police officer's job entails. In grades 2 through 5, he plans to discuss how to handle common household emergencies, making safe choices, personal safety, succumbing to peer pressure, and internet safety. Officer Scott looks forward to pushing into various classes and holding small assemblies to facilitate these discussions. And of course, all discussions will be grade level appropriate with input from the teachers and building administration. Exciting news, high school psychologist Michael Paff will present at the New York State School Boards Association Conference in Syracuse this weekend. The Assistant Commissioner of Education, or one of them, Kathleen DiCataldo, asked Dr. Paff to take part in a panel discussion entitled Addressing the Well-Being of Our Students. Dr. Paff's topic will be the Junior Peer Youth Advocacy Program, which we call the JYPA, that we piloted here at Highland High School last year. Specifically, how it is an innovative way of providing services to students who likely might not otherwise receive those services. You might recall that we were the first high school in New York State to implement the program, and as a result of our experience last year, 19 other high schools statewide are beginning to offer this program. So I'm proud that we are the first. So as a result, they asked Dr. Paff and Christina Saylor to go. Chrissy couldn't get away, so Dr. Paff is doing it on his own. So we're represent as well.
So next, we are almost ready to roll out our fall 2022 Panorama Survey. We are waiting on a final few pieces from the Panorama Education, the firm there, to be put into place before it's ready. Some of the difficulties we had is I had an account, but I didn't have the permissions I needed, the same permissions that Sarah had. And Richard, on the other hand, he doesn't have an account, but Carol had the account. So all the key players in it had left the district. So we have to take the reins there. So we're almost there. I anticipate it'll be rolling out very soon. I anticipate that we're working on a few postcards, not a few, but postcards to send home to parents of our students with a QR code to encourage them to take the survey. But in addition to the email blast and the robocall that we will do. So next, the district's first Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, Direct Committee, the first meeting of the year is set for next Tuesday, November 1st at 6 p.m. Anyone who's interested may attend. The meeting will be on Zoom, and you may contact me if you'd like to. If you're not on the committee and like to attend, and I can send you the Zoom link if anybody would like to attend. Happy National Principals Month. On behalf of the district administration, I'd like to take a moment to express our appreciation for the leadership of our school principals. Thank you, Mr. McCormick. Thank you, Mrs. Coburn. And thank you, Mr. Murphy. Not only for what you do in the month of October, but throughout the year. And you certainly help the children of Highland Central School District grow and thrive. So for that, we are grateful. And last but not least, last week was School Board Recognition Week. It was October 17th through 21st. The purpose of the week is to recognize school board members for their commitment to New York public school children. So on behalf of the administrative team, faculty, staff, and most importantly, our student body, thank you to our board members for their tireless commitment to the success of our students. And that is all I have for you this evening.
Any questions?
Did you say tireless?
I did say tireless. Appropriate, right?
Most kids. Bill, when will that panorama be available?
I'm afraid to say no, because every time I say a date, it gets pushed off a little bit, but it really should be the beginning of November. I'm hoping for next week or the second week of November. By mid-November, I'm hoping to have it closed before Thanksgiving, so we'll have some results by the end of the month. Because the window will be open for a few weeks for people to take it.
We'll get to see it, obviously.
You will get to see it, absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, so, or you mean the results?
No,
the questions. So the questions are the same as they've been in the past 2 years. In order for the norms to sort of compare it to years past.
I thought there was gonna be some changes.
That was part of the difficulty we had.
Last time, we couldn't make the changes to it.
Because it would throw off the last results of last year and the year before. We're recommended to keep it the same.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, data integrity is.
Yes.
Okay, Superintendent?
I have nothing to say since they said everything. Just kidding. They did have a lot to say. They took all my...
Somewhat unusual.
Well, I want to echo, I know the board president mentioned the vote at the beginning. Thank you to the community for coming out. It was great showing. We need to keep that momentum going for the future votes. Most importantly, people had their voices heard, and that's all we can ask for. So we want to keep that momentum going in the future, whether it be for the Panorama survey or future propositions or other surveys, or if a teacher reaches out with a survey, we hope that families will get that feedback back, because that's how we move things forward. So thank you again to the community for showing up last week. With that said, we've now shifted from getting it ready to really getting it ready. So an RFP is being prepared for the construction management work. That should be done shortly. We will be meeting with our support services next week with our architect to go over how we're going to phase things in and chunk them into pieces so that planning process can get ready for review in Albany. I know we mentioned a little bit of that prior to the vote, but now we need to move pretty expeditiously to get that moving. For the community and for board to be aware, next Thursday will be our annual early evacuation drill. We will be sending information out about that this coming probably early next week, so that it doesn't fall off folks' radar. As a former elementary principal, nothing is more unnerving when you send students home 15 minutes early and parents aren't prepared to receive them, and students end up riding on the buses for longer than they would have if they went home at regular time. So we want to make sure that that information is out there and folks are prepared. And then finally, we mentioned it at the last few board meetings, but the open comment period on our safety plan will end this Friday, October 28th. All open comments will be provided to the Board of Education for review prior to the plan being readopted. And for those that are not aware, there's a link on our website which will be active through this Friday, October 28th. And it's our safety plan as it was approved back in the summer, with the addition in Appendix 7 of the newly added SRO program, and we will formally readopt that plan on November 15th.
Okay, anyone have any questions for our superintendent? All right, thank you, Joel.
Thank you.
Under Board of Education, new business. We don't have anything right now under new business. Anyone want to bring anything up for new business? Old business. I know I mentioned it a while ago of having a board retreat. We haven't really set board goals in quite a while, and I know we're into the school year, but maybe we can put together some mini board goals and move ourselves forward. I will send out an email to the board members to kind of touch base on available dates and location and all that, and we see if we can put something together prior to really the holidays setting in.
I could include those previous goals in my Friday update if that would be helpful.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be.
Okay, just some food for thought. We're going to have a busy schedule coming up in the next few months, maybe right into the spring. Currently, we know we're having negotiations for two of our large units, HTA and HSA. That's taking up time of board members. I mentioned it before, I'm going to mention it again. We're probably two and a half months away from budget discussion. It's going to be upon us real soon. We have a lot to think about, and I just want to keep reiterating that some of that CARES money that we hired social workers and AIS teachers sunsets at the end of June of 2023. We have to think about that, if we're going to move that and continue that. We initiated the SRO program a couple months ago. Our plan is to try to move that forward, so we have to think about that. It's part of our budget discussion. As I mentioned, the settlement of the 2 contracts. So we have a lot on our plate moving forward. A lot of time going to be spent with the committee meetings. We have our, as the superintendent mentioned, we have our capital project moving forward, so the support service will be busy meeting with the architect and design team, and then reporting back to the board. And if you have any questions regarding any of this, now's the time, or if you want to email the superintendent or myself, and we'll try to get answers for you. So we'll try to keep the entire board abreast of moving forward with the capital project on when some areas are going to take place. And we're building it over 2 summers, two years, really, 23 and 24. So we'll keep you posted on how that's going to move out. Right now, currently, the design team is going to move forward working on the documents. We'll know better when we meet Thursday. I currently don't anticipate documents being back to go to SED until probably early February at the earliest, because with the holidays coming up, somewhere in that time frame. SED will take probably 4 to 6 weeks or beyond to review. You have the question and answer period, and back to us before we are able to have the district put them on the street for receiving bids. So we really are limited because of the late, vote on the proposition to get a lot done in the 23 school year. That summer we're going to try to do as much as we can on areas that where we can, with the supply chain being the way it is in the construction industry, we got to hit areas that are going to be less impacted by the supply chain. So we'll try to get as much done as we can in 23, but the real nuts and bolts of the project probably are not going to hit until 24.
Now, just a question, are you planning, so at that time, when architectural has plans to go to state review, are you planning by that time to have construction management hired, or they're not in the picture quite yet?
I believe that's our plan. Like Joel said earlier, we're going out for an FRP for construction management, and I would like to have them on board during that period of design discussion with the support service and moving that forward. Yes, there will be. And I believe we're going to look at expedited review of the design documents with SED. It's an additional cost, it's minimal. They kind of project that you can cut 2 to 3 weeks off the normal review going with it,
because we could end up losing our project management out of contract on the other side if we don't get it sooner.
I leave it to the esteemed members of the support services committee. They know that process.
Are we still contracting a lot of that work out, the review?
That's the expedited review. They contract it out, yes.
And this theoretically puts out for bids roughly what time you're looking for?
Probably looking at late spring.
Yeah.
Late spring?
April at the earliest, I would think, right now. We'll get a better, in the next couple of months, we'll get a better idea. If the design team can push a little bit and get documents ready to go up there, hopefully in the next couple of support service meetings, we're going to be able to pinpoint from them the date that they think they can go to SED with the documents. We're currently working on one in Walkill, and they have given us dates where they're going to have those design documents ready to go up. And that's critical, because then you can, from that point, you can start planning your schedule and where you're going to be in the summer. Anybody else, any questions? So we got a lot on our plate, guys. Keep focused on it all. I mean, especially the negotiations, that's going to take up a lot of our time. And as we move into that, we'd like to kind of get that settled, near about settled, prior to really adopting a budget, because we got to know what we're going to be budgeting for as far as contract settlements for the 23-24 school year. All right. Under miscellaneous, Ulster County School Boards Association meeting, November 17th, 2022. I believe that's the meeting with the superintendent of
That is the meeting that the commissioner and the deputy commissioner will be in Ulster County and will be in attendance. So any of you that are interested in joining me that evening, I think it would be a great evening to hear directly from her. The three of us have heard her a number of times at state get-togethers. She's a very good speaker. She really makes you feel good about education. But I think it's important now that we start pushing a little bit to move the agenda forward. And it's not just, the thing that we keep saying is, we know we did a great job during COVID, but we need to move beyond that and we need to start looking forward. So we need the department to be looking that way as well. So I think hearing from folks within the different regional meetings that she's going to, I think she's gonna hear that, and I think she's poised to take us in the right direction. So we're looking forward to meeting with her that evening. So please, anyone that wants to join us, I think Lisa is doing an RSVP, so please come on out for that. Yeah.
What's the date is the RSVP, right?
Looking at it right now, even on the attachments, you can even RSVP to Sheila Beck directly as well. She included her email address, but she did not put down the RSVP date.
I'll get the RSVP and I'll put it in my update.
One other thing I'd like to mention is that the elections are coming up in 2 weeks. If we can, lobby some of our assemblymen, our local assemblymen, maybe our state senator, to see if there is money out there coming down from the feds to the local, to the states. I mean, for mental health, for the school safety. So if you've run into any of our politicians in your travels, try to corner them and ask what can they do for us. I mean, there is money out there, I think, and I think they can help us. We haven't really got any of that what they call pork barrel money. We haven't got much of that in the last 2 budget rounds, so maybe we'll get some of that this go around. So please, if you can, reach out to them, and the same with our staff. If we can get support from our local politicians, I think it's going to help us in the budget cycle.
I had
or just grants in general.
I had contacted, Miss Hanson, and she was going to contact Patrick regarding that, but she was also asking questions at the county level to provide us with some services. And I think that might have been possibly part of the program that you were talking about.
Yeah, I think it's the mental health for middle school.
Yeah, I think that's the area of focus right now, because we know that so many, not just Highland, so many of the surrounding schools put that money towards these mental health or student support positions, whatever, across the continuum, and those are problematic because, I'm thankful for the last few budget processes, right? We've gained on foundation aid, and they're committed to restoring that, so I can't say they haven't done anything.
Correct.
That's a lot of money, but specifically to the student support service aspect of this, it would like to, see some assistance there.
And the mental health needs haven't been shrinking, they're just increasing.
Right, they're just right, so you think, and anyway, that's where we're at. I did have one other I just want to bring up. It's not really connected to any of this. It's some of my constituency coming to me. It's really the class of 2023. I know that we contract with photographers, correct, for different class photos, student photos, but graduation photos specifically is outside of that realm. Could somebody talk to me a little bit about how we're handling graduation pictures this year?
So there's no need to change our practice of what we've had.
Okay.
In past graduations, the companies that we've worked with have performed for us the way we needed them to.
Okay.
And they're excellent companies, they're very reputable. So we haven't had issue with them in the past. And my plan is to move forward with them this year as well.
Right, so parents who want graduation photos or any photos go through this company that provides this service to our schools.
Correct.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I'll ask for, oh, sorry, we gotta open it up to public comment. Yes, Mark.
When you guys were talking about the capital project, the new one for next year, that the paperwork you're hoping to get finished by about April, May time period. When construction starts, do you have a ballpark idea and then how long construction might take?
The anticipated duration of the entire project is 2 years from onset. So we're hoping, unless, the supply chain causes issues, and that's been, the norm in the construction industry right now. But we're hoping to have closeout documents, by the end of '24.
When you say 2 years, you mean that includes the paperwork stuff?
Includes everything, yes.
Thanks.
I believe that's how our RFP is going to read for construction managers, possibly a 2-year project.
Doesn't punch list in that last phase take forever though? I mean, have we closed out the current capital project?
That's all tied to what I was saying about supply chain issues, the bids, what kind of funding. If we get bids that are way over, like we had 1 year,
then we have to roll them out and go back out.
And if by some, if we end up in a wonderful environment where we're getting lower bids, I know they're cushioning, right? The architects.
Yeah, I mean, there's escalations built in, but
so that's where the
we don't know.
is, and we have residual money. So, yeah.
Currently, being in the industry, I'm going to say 50% of the projects we've bid in the last 2 years have been rebid because of overruns. More.
I'm seeing everybody's sticking to a 30-day proposal because prices are exponentially growing within every 30 days.
Yeah, we were at one point where structural steel and metal framing was like 7 days. So they would hold their number for. Yeah, it's difficult.
And we've got a 5-year BCS building conditions survey that's in process, or is that renewing?
That's pretty much what we built some of this project off of.
And then the second year into the 5-year building conditions survey.
Okay, and that includes enrollment numbers? I just see a lot of buildings in Highland, and I know a lot of those sometimes don't yield children, but I do hear that buildings are full, they're very active, wonderful, don't get me wrong. I just wonder if maybe, obviously not this building project, but down the road, is increasing capacity of our buildings something that we'll have to wrestle with?
Absolutely, and it's something that the board's got to think about as far as renewing that building reserve account. We have to go out to the voters to approve that. And I think we have 2.5 more years left on that. We should be thinking about that also from the board standpoint.
But that'll present itself in a trend, though. We'll see the expanding numbers. So it's not like it's just going to drop on us.
I would say that one of the things to go along with that reserve plan, as I was talking to parents and to community members, one of the things that they were most appreciative of was that we did have some reserves, that we were looking to the future, and we had planned from 2014 or 2015, whenever it was that got started, that wow, you're able to take that off because you had some foresight. So I think I agree with the president here that we need to renew that and continue that process for future projects down the road.
Should be an automatic.
Credit our senior board members, including Sue Gilmore, always knowing that that's important. So, thank you.
I just want to acknowledge Lisa and her team for administering the vote. I know that it was a long day. There's some hard work put in by them as well, so thank you.
Okay, well, thank you to Michelle McGrath and Marion Ingraham, who is not here tonight.
Surprisingly, I know it's before.
I will relay the message. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the constant updates every hour on the hour. We got an update of how many voters there were, so that
It helps,
was good to see.
I was, nervous. I was very nervous.
I know.
Anyway.
It all worked out well.
I was only a little nervous.
We're under public comment. Any other questions?
Sorry about it.
Did we answer your question, Mark? Okay, motion to adjourn. We're going back into executive
Now
session.
nobody's gonna get a motion.
No business taken, so we're not coming back into public, so motion to go into executive session, discuss contract negotiations.
Bye. Motion.
Motion by Heather, second by Janine. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. Thank you. Good evening. Good night. Good night, everyone.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning ahead of time.
You guys want to stay in here?
Yeah.
Stay right here.